here we are again, and let me be the first to thank you all for stopping in, for stopping by, sitting down, grabbing a chair, getting comfortable, and hanging out with us for the next 30 minutes or so. I guarantee you one thing: you'll be glad you did. And while you're doing that, please, please, please tag your friends, subscribe to our message, and listen. I've got a guest that this woman, every time I talk to her, it just gets deeper and deeper into the understanding and the power of service and caring and bringing people together, right? The whole unity piece around her personality, her presence. It just oozes out. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Call your friends, call your dad, mom, whoever it is, and let them know that they need to be here. Come check us out at Conversations with Geoff. Welcome all you new folks here, and for those of you that are following our speaker, welcome to our community. And you old timers that have been here from the beginning, you guys, we love y'all, and the folks that helped put this show together, you all make this one message so much easier to deliver. Because I always say, we can't do what we want to do. We can't reach 1 million people without the efforts of everyone that comes involved in this community. And we're going to do that. We are going to do that because it is necessary. It is necessary for us to stand up, to speak up, to raise our heads up and let people know that, hey, this thinking, that's right, that nonsense that runs in our heads on a regular basis, that is the biggest roadblock. I was thinking about something today when I got finished exercising, and my wife and I exercise all the time. And if you're not exercising, find the time. You're not too busy. If you're not exercising, if you don't have an interest in it, please do it. The physical aspects of our body are so important, right? Because that be able to move out and hang around and do things that you, just exercise, all right? Because I was doing that, I was thinking about, it's our thinking, then it's what we say, and actually it's thinking, and then how we feel about it, and then what comes out, and then the energy level behind that. Imagine if you had those 4 things in check, that you were looking at those 4 markers every day, all day in your life. How much better would your life be? How much better would you be? We all have listen, we as human beings, we all have the same gift to do this, right? So it's not something that you say, well, I don't have the education, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the time. All those excuses are gone, right? Whatever religion you have or don't have doesn't matter. It's this right here. It's talking, and it's this, connecting this to heart and energy. We all can do that, man. Why am I so crazy about that? Because I know in my own life, that's why they call me, hey, my name is Geoff Tyson, and I am the comeback king. And I got that name from people that know me, that know that, hey, when I was in the darkest spaces, man, I kept stepping forward. When I was high and things were rolling, I was helping people when things go sideways. Here we go again, Geoff. Right? We climb back up. I know I'm not the only one that's been in situations where you're like, man, I don't know how to get out of this, but we do, right? So the power of the comeback, man, is so important. And if you're looking for some really deep perspectives in that space, I encourage you to reach out to me, and we can have some private conversations, because we've helped hundreds of people over the last 30 years in this space, in this message of changing that stinking thinking. That's it. One step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen, at a pace that takes forever either. It's just ongoing practice on what you want to do with yourself in that conversation, right? I was talking to her, and I'm going to get to where we are here, but I was chatting with our guest just before we went live here, and actually it's a recording, and she was hitting on so many things, and we're not going to be able to get to all of them. So make sure that you stay in touch with us for more details about whatever it is that comes up in this discussion. Right? She's going to leave her information, and you always have my information. I encourage you. Get connected to this community. Subscribe to it. Set up your bell. Share this information, and be a part of something that I know is necessary. Right? Hey, we're not for everybody, but for those of you that are looking for a place that quiets down the chatter, gives you a perspective of calm, gives you a perspective of community, gives you a perspective of another way to see yourself and feel about yourself, then you are in the right place. All right. Hey, so listen, I'm just going to go right to it and tell you that my guest coming up today is someone that I met through, the world changing into COVID and me showing up on this digital platform and the way the world goes. If you keep stepping forward, right, it's going to lead you to things that you never thought you'd be able to do, that you always wanted to do, but you had to be courageous enough to do it. It sounds like something you're wanting to do. All right, it's possible for you. Anyway, I met this young woman a while back, and she's just really been so interesting to talk to. And I told you earlier about her strength and her message. So I'm just going to bring her on, let her give you a quick background on her bio, and then we're going to get to some of the things that we're here to share with you today. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to Conversations with Geoff, my friend, Nicole Harvick.
Hi, Geoff. How are you?
Hey, Nicole, I'm doing great now.
Yay, yay. Thank you for having me. And I love your opening. Your opening is so important. And I'm going to tell you a download I had while you were speaking. And you talked about the chatter, which we sometimes call the monkey mind.
Yeah.
That just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
And I just heard that chatter, that monkey mind, is actually blocking your wisdom from a higher source.
Wow. I love that.
That's new to me too, but it really makes sense. But while you were saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I do know where that's coming from, but that really makes a lot of sense, that when your mind doesn't stop, you can't hear all your wisdom.
Yeah. And you know what? And we're stealing from people when we don't stop that, because that wisdom is followed by a message.
Absolutely.
And that message, we all have a responsibility to share for those that are in that valley, that don't think they can come back or need some energy healing, that are lost. So I monkey mind.
Monkey mind stops your brilliance. So perfect time to say that, Geoff.
Yeah. Well, thank you for recognizing that, and again, thank you for being here. As I mentioned, so why don't you just take a minute, and we know you're dynamite here today, but give us a little background on you, and then we'll get to what we're here for.
Yeah, I would love to. My journey started with a very strenuous, ugly divorce. And this was 10 years ago. And when I was going through that, I found myself getting incredibly ill, incredibly sick, losing my hair, scratching my arms and legs until they would bleed. And I started taking all these classes in quantum healing. I learned to be a Reiki master. I did cellular healing. I took NLP. I took everything you could think of, sound therapy. And I wasn't healing. I was utilizing all those modalities of healing, and there was something missing, Geoff. And what I went on to discover is something called forgiveness. And that woke me up. And when I started practicing forgiveness, my whole world changed. My whole world changed, like within days. And so now I like to call myself the forgiveness expert and quantum energy healer. But I put forgiveness first, because if you still have the trauma and or the darkness in you that made you sick in the first place, if you're not utilizing forgiveness to get that out of your body, you can never adequately heal. You can work on yourself, but you'll still have that something stuck, and your heart is just not made to hold grudges. It's really not. It's to flow free and out to others, to where you can make a difference without ever physically touching them or even saying a word.
I'm listening to you, and this is just a side note. I'm planting a seed for you. Maybe you'll say yes, hopefully. And maybe we come back with a message around forgiveness. Because what you're saying, I'm thinking about my own life as I'm listening to you. And, when I finally put down the life of a dressed up garbage can, I had a lot of like stuff pointing at myself, but going through a process of peeling off all of that stuff, I landed in a space of forgiveness, and it was life changing.
It's like lifting chains off your heart. It's like your heart has just been imprisoned for so long. And like I tell everybody, a lot of people don't understand it, Geoff. And what they need to realize is forgiveness is for you. It's just for you. It's not for that other person per se. And a lot of people say, well, they don't deserve to be forgiven. And while that may be true, you don't deserve to carry whatever they cast upon you. If they didn't care about you, love you enough, or respect you enough to not hurt you, why do you feel you have to carry that around with you? And the best thing to do is understand it is for no one but yourself. And you don't even have to ever see that person again, talk to them again, or tell them that you've forgiven them. This is just something that you know intrinsically, that your heart knows, and that release is almost automatic once you start going through that of forgiveness. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, I wrote it down. Forgiveness is for you, and part of that too. And maybe let me just ask this question. Try and ask the question in a way that makes sense. Because I get so excited around this topic because I know it's just had such an impact in my life and thousands of other people I know. What when you forgive yourself, then I just speak about Geoff. I became okay with me. I no longer was worrying about, and you're talking about people pleasing you. No longer worrying about having to be anything else other than a guy a sensitive guy who for years ignored all those things, for a guy that wanted to say, hey, can I help you? Because one of my languages is service, right? And do it without conditions. I used to do it with conditions before.
Yeah. A lot of us did. Felt that if we gave, we had to receive. And that's just not true.
Yeah, it's not. So, but I want to back up for a second because you were bold enough to share you in your situation going through your divorce and how that was. And let's talk about, maybe there's somebody out there now that's kind of beginning where you were or in the middle of where you were. What were some of the things that you're like, man, when you look back over, you want to tell people, hey, if you're here, you're okay. Here's something to do to get by. What can you touch on in that space?
When I was going through my divorce, because I had been married almost 25 years, the first thing that I felt was fear of being alone, fear of having to go out into a world that I wasn't really used to because I was mom. I volunteered at the schools. I did everything you could think. I took the kids to every volleyball game, every dance competition. And I thought, I don't know who I am. I truly don't know who I am anymore. I got so immersed in that. And I kept thinking, why are you afraid? Because you didn't get married till you were older. You had a job. You made a living. What is that? Where is that fear coming from? And it was kind of in the pit of my stomach. And that fear was changing into someone I no longer recognized. I thought, who am I? What am I going to become? I don't know anymore who I am. Yeah. And the only thing, I have 2 girls, and the only thing I kept thinking to myself is, I'm with their dad, who they know, who has cheated on me and lied to me. And the reason they knew that is because my daughter's iPhone was synced with her dad's phone. My 11-year-old 6th grader got all these messages, texts, and pictures. So that in itself was devastating. But it was almost as if the universe, because I had all these inclinations that something wasn't right. But honestly, I felt the universe just tossed me down to my knees. It had to be this way for me to see it, to realize with real eyes what was going on, because you couldn't dispute it any longer. I hate the way it happened. But so I thought, as a mom of 2 daughters, I'm their role model. And I don't want them to go through this. And I literally felt like I had to just push myself over that fear. And said, no more. I finally said, you deserve more than this, and your daughters deserve more than this.
Wow.
And it was hard. I'm not saying it wasn't hard. It was hard. And it was from the time everything started to where it truly ended. And I started my journey of love, peace, harmony, forgiveness,
Mm.
it was almost a decade.
Wow.
But to come out on the other end like I did, when you step over the fear, that's where your magic happens.
Yeah.
That's where your magic happens. And looking back, I learned so much from it. And I realized that had I not gone through that in the capacity that I did, I wouldn't be the kind of help I can offer today to people who are scared, intimidated, been put down, had maybe physical or verbal abuse. I had the verbal, not the physical, and help them to step into their essence.
Yeah.
Because you come here with an essence. You come here with a job to do, with knowledge that you might not have tapped into yet. But once you tap into that and you start realizing how powerful you are, how powerful you can be, and how you can help people, you look back and you're like, I would do this again.
Mm.
Because I'm in a place of beauty, I'm in a place of serenity, and I'm a place of standing in my own power. Finally.
Mm.
Finally.
Wow. 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 And you talk about as I use the word gruesome as it was for you, and painstaking and all that stuff. You said you would do it again, knowing what the other side brings you. Wow.
This sounds strange, but I feel so blessed to have had those experiences, as painful as it was,
Yeah.
because it brought me back to me. It brought me back to my core, my essence, my own beliefs. And I had played a game all those years, which I didn't really like. And now I'm literally walking in a path of just calmness and serenity, and knowing that I'm here like you to be of service, to be a servant, and to help. And that in itself makes me feel so empowered, not in an arrogant way, but just knowing what my path is, who I am finally, and how I can be of help and service to others.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, just so much good stuff out of that. I mean, just really. I don't want to stay here because that's all we. I mean, we can talk forever just on this one space, and so many things there. So anybody's just here the first time, man, you're gonna be able to get a hold of her. So stay with us. We gotta bounce back, come back, and listen again because her information will be in there. I mean, she talked about some qualified skills, being Reiki, and some mastering of energy. But just listening to you talk, watching you, Nicole, I just, man, so much, so much to give.
And you know what I was taught on that journey also, and this was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever experienced, is when I forgave others, I started forgiving myself. And I guess some people say I did it backwards, but I thought, well, if I can forgive them, and I didn't do anything egregious or ever to hurt anybody, but as I kind of reviewed my life prior to this, I was not the nicest person. I had a little arrogance in me. There was still ego there, because you can't be an ego and forgiveness at the same time. You
No,
pick one or the other. I picked the forgiveness. And Geoff, that forgiveness of myself, realizing I didn't really do anything ever to hurt anybody, which I might have, but I thought, well, if I can forgive myself, and I looked at myself and I said, I can love myself also.
Yeah.
And I had never really understood self-love up until that point. And it was, it was if my heart just kind of softened to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I love my kids, I love my parents, I even love my dog. Why can't I love myself? And that's something that forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and love, it was kind of like, a trio all of a sudden of all these things that just conspired together to make me realize that I deserve to love myself.
Yes.
And once that opened up, it was like the floodgates. And you do. It's so strange because you know, you can look at someone and I tell people, I said, I still have love for my ex-husband on a soul level
Yeah.
because he can't love himself. And
Yep.
everybody deserves love. It's
That's
a
right.
really high vibration. You
Yeah.
know, I can look at you as a human. We've never even met. We've talked a lot, but I love you. And
Yes.
it just opens a new field of possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And then I'm gonna say this to you, as part of it is my journey, but I hear it in yours. When you talked about forgiving others first, and then you eventually were able to, and you had it backwards, right? Because it's really, they say, hey, learn to forgive yourself, and forgiveness of yourself, you learn from others. I get that, but here's what I'm getting at. This is just what I think. You can tell me, right? When you finally realized that it was okay to love Nicole, then the ability to forgive Nicole kind of went right after that. But until then, just talking, you weren't able to. I wasn't able to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's really an interesting journey, forgiveness is, because it is going to be different for every person.
Yeah.
You know, our fingerprint tells us not one of us is the same.
Yeah.
So however it comes to you, it's okay. There's no hard and fast rules
Yeah.
in this journey of forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and love. Everyone's like, oh, you have to forgive yourself first. But I didn't realize that. I didn't know of any, particular way to do it. And
Yeah.
as it happened for me, one of the epiphanies I had is when I forgave myself, is I realized that some of the things I really wasn't aware of, that I had hurt somebody. And when I really realized that I had hurt them, but it was without malice, if you will, wasn't really on purpose, then I thought, well, maybe the people that had done it to me or are doing it, they're not as aware as they should be. And so that kind of helped me to forgive on a deeper level, because I didn't do it out of meanness. Maybe their hurt caused them to behave that way, whatever's going on inside of them. And I think you and I both know that whatever is said to you or how you're treated is a symptom of what's going on inside of them. It's
Yeah.
never about us. And
Yeah.
that was a huge epiphany also. And
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, the hurt kind of diminished a little bit, knowing that they say hurt people, and it's
Yeah.
very true. It's
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
And, I know my ex had gone through a lot of things, a mother that committed suicide and, many issues. While that doesn't, I'm not condoning what he did. There was a lot of pain inside of him.
Yeah. 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 And that old saying, hurt people, but also we attract who we are.
Yeah.
Different,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the part that person owns, that we sometimes try to take on ourselves. We take their crap sometimes.
Exactly. And as healers, because you are too, you're a healer also. We think we can help everybody. We think we've got this magical cure. And as I look back into my past, which was quite an eye opener, every single person that I, like a boyfriend or a relationship, they all had the same thing in common. They lied, they cheated, and they had addictions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're pulling them in with your vibration, your energy, you're pulling those people in. So when I finally realized that and worked a lot harder to raise my vibration, and loving yourself will help you automatically raise your vibration.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, I'm definitely not ready to date because I still have inner work to do. And I don't ever want to be in a situation where I pull in that which did not serve me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you have to become aware of it, and then there's that piece too, and I want to get to something else as we kind of get close to winding up. There's that piece of surrender in there around acceptance too. I mean, those two really, and surrender, and not in a way that I used to think. When you give or weak and you're giving up, you're losing the power. When you surrender in these arenas, you gain power back.
It's in a mix. I wrote an article about surrender, and a lot of people look at it from maybe a third dimensional point of view of giving up, of being weak, of not confronting your enemy, whatever you feel that to be. And surrender is another one that you can't be an ego. You just cannot. It's not possible. So when you're surrendering to your higher self, to a higher dimension, and to a God, to a universe that knows far better than you living here on this earth what is good for you. And when I started surrender, it was almost, it's a spiritual journey. It's really a spiritual journey. And you realize how powerless you really are when you try to control everything. It just never works. You surrender to something higher than yourself, everything works. Not saying we don't stub our toe from time to time, but it's a beautiful thing.
There's so much power in the surrender of it. Then you are able to replace those behaviors with something that is spiritually based. I'm not saying religion. I'm talking from a caring, from an honest, from an humble, from a place of humility, service, right? All this stuff and giving away versus all the ego things, the self-centeredness and mind manipulation, and all that stuff that goes in.
No, you're saying every correct word too, especially the self-centered. The self-centered me. Yep. And there was a time when I might have been like that quite some time ago, but now I first of all, I wake up in gratitude every day. So grateful for who I am and where I am. And I think you and I talked about this, and I would wake up and say, how can I serve? And there was one day my answer was, just leave someone feeling better than before they met you. And I thought, man, that can be easy. That can be a smile, hold a door open. Kindness is free. Kindness is free.
Kindness is free. I love that. And how can I leave somebody better? Kind of like my wife and I's little post-it note that I may have shared with you, where we put it on the door years ago. I mean, we still have it, where it's praise and compliment everybody you meet. On the way out every day, we would see that. And today we still do that, Nicole. So I love it. The kindness is free.
Yeah. And everybody deserves that, whether you think so or not. Because if it's a bum on the street, they too have a story. We're just not listening. If it's a drug addict, there's some pain in there. We're not listening. We'll walk by them and kick them before we'll extend a hand. And when you realize you're not the only one with a story, when you practice that charity and fill your heart with that love for them, and you might not even have to say anything. You can do it just inside your head, but send them love. Send them, spiritual help, because everything that goes out of you comes back to you. And I don't want anything but love coming back to me. Goodness coming back to me. Forget that ego and pride stuff. I want the good stuff.
Yeah, girl, listen, I got to tell you, and sometimes for me, the ego still pops up sometimes, and then I find myself in these terrible situations that I shouldn't have been. And I surrendered and shared and got some better direction.
And we're it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, you look at it as a trigger, and all you have to do is say, what have I not forgiven? What's still in there? What buried itself that just came up? Because we have these triggers, and I'm grateful for them, because that gives me an opportunity to go find a place that hasn't been healed.
Because it's speaking to you. It wants out.
Yes, yes, it's coming forth, and for me, it's like, get out now.
Come on out, let me be free, right? You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that. So man, look, wow. Hey, how do people get a hold of you, Nicole? I mean,
You know, I have to tell you, everything is in Nicole Harvick because I made it easy for myself as I get older. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I am on LinkedIn, I'm even on TikTok. Don't do much on there, but everything's under Nicole Harvick. If you would like to email me with questions, it's NicoleHarvick@gmail.com. So you can find me on any social media. And my wish is, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I can at least plant a seed for you. And that's why I'm always available to answer any questions. That does my heart good.
I love that, and so being that this is a recording, and all this information is in the chat, so I encourage everybody to go check her out. I mean, we had a whole other topic, about.
We had many topics before this ever started. Good, and it's good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta stay tuned, because we're gonna put some things together that can really have an impact if you'd be willing to do some stuff like that. I think it'd be amazing to have you back. It'd be amazing to.
I would be absolutely honored to come back. I love listening to you, not just the common sense, but I can hear the higher self talking through you and walking with you. So I would love to come back, Geoff.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that. The higher self. And I do my best following examples from people like you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Turn it over to that power higher than us so that we can just serve.
Yes.
And you say it all the time. Hey, Geoff, if you want to know something that I said, you better write it down, because if you don't record it.
And that's what I tell everybody. My biggest gift is the ability, it's called clairaudient. And what that is someone speaking through me. And like I told you last, I'm like, write it down, because I don't remember it. It's through me, not of me. And to me, that's just a huge blessing, to be able to say something that's of a higher magnitude.
Yeah. Well, because it's more, and I'm really gonna let you go, but it's so much pure, so much more real, so much more just, connecting people together, and that's what we want to do. So.
And I'm very grateful you let me speak my truth. So thank you.
No, hey, this is what Conversations with Geoff is all about. People need to understand that anybody can come back. Not just
anybody.
Anybody can. And
at any time, at any age.
At any time, at any age, and no matter what the conditions.
Yes.
So, my friend, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Until we meet again.
This was lovely. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. You're welcome. Hey, listen, I told you, you want to make sure you get a hold of her, and don't hesitate to reach out. Nicole Harvick, as she mentioned to you, and there'll be information in there. And I would encourage you to maybe ask her about her article around surrender, because I want to see if I can get it, right? And follow this show, Conversations with Geoff. And I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to really answer it as honestly as possible. How often is ego running the conversation you're having with yourself about yourself? And why? And what would your life be like if you were able to identify the ego, smash it, replace the ego with some caring, simple, service-focused things, smiling at other people, being humble, being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to be humiliated. And that's not a bad thing. But most importantly, be willing to do whatever it takes to step into your purpose, to step into who you're meant to be, to step into the message that people need to hear from you. So subscribe to this channel, share this channel, set up the ring and the bell, and we'll see you on the next Conversation with Geoff. Man, what a great show. Thanks again, my friend.